Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? So here is the tractor that I've been talking about, that I've been looking into getting for a few months now. I bought this tractor on the Facebook Marketplace. I have been looking for a tractor for a few months now. I got this for $12,000. The owner asked $13,000 for it. I got it for $12,000 after delivery, so I paid $12,000 for this tractor as well as delivery. Well, it looks like well, he told me that the only problem with it so far is his block heater. This last winter, when it got real cold, when it was when temperature dropped real cold just a couple months ago, he had this block heater plugged in and it fried itself. So he doesn't know why that happened, but I can get that for about $100. I was taking a good look at the hosing. This is something that I missed on my original go through of this machine, but this hose right here, it looks like it's starting to rot real bad, so I'll probably have to replace this. I'll have to look at a parts catalog to see what this hose is and order this hose from the Case dealership. This is a 1970s 1466 International Harvester. It's about 150 horsepower. This it's been freshly painted. So yep, well, it got painted within the last few years. I put a lot of grease in it. So far from what I'm seeing on this tractor, okay, so when I originally went to go look at this tractor, when the owner fired it up, it was blowing a lot of smoke. This tractor was blowing a lot of smoke. So this exhaust pipe right here, it was blowing a lot of smoke out that exhaust. Upon closer inspection, I think that what had happened is that okay, so when I go up into this tractor, it'll make more sense when I show the gauges, but this tractor has all different sensors. So these are the sensors for the machine. I'm trying to get up in here real quick. Oh. So these are the sensors for the machine, and here's the oil and the coolant. So here is the tachometer. But this machine, it has a bad air filter. So everything else on it is good. Everything else is good. Oil levels are good. The engine is staying cool. The coolant is running properly. The engine oil isn't going vertical or anything like that. The tachometer works. But the air filter is red, so I need to change out the air filter. Before I decided, well, okay, so my big thing is what I'm thinking is happening right now is that this tractor is sucking in a lot of dirt from the air filter. So this tractor, it is, let me get on out here again. If I take a tumble here, it's kind of a big deal. So I'm gonna be real careful here for a moment. And I'm going to, this tractor's probably just over 12 feet tall. So it's one heck of a tractor. It's a very large machine. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here as carefully as I can. Okay. But this tractor is a turbocharged tractor, 150 horsepower, and you can kind of see where the old where it said turbo on here. So TURBO, it got painted over when the previous owner had this machine painted. So this isn't original paint, but it does have a turbocharger, and I can actually show you where the turbocharger is. The turbocharger, it looks like a little squirrel cage fan. It's gonna be up in here somewhere. I thought I could show you where the turbo was, but I think that's it right there. I think that is it right up in there. I may be wrong, but well, okay, so well, it's not that important. If I took the sheet metal off, I could find it. But that right there is the air filter. So the air filter Yeah, that's the turbo right there, because the air filter, the turbo sucks in air from the outside through the air filter to blast that air into the engine, which is what the turbo does. So yep, somewhere in there, in those few pieces is the turbo. There's a lot of soot in there. So yep, this air filter is what I'm guessing is that this air filter, well, the sensor is saying that this air filter needs to be replaced. So I got to pull this sheet metal off of here. I got to pull this, I just got to undo these bolts. Then this sheet metal will just pop right off. Then I got to change the filter, the air filter in here. In this housing right here, this big round cylinder thing, there's an air filter in there. And that's where the engine gets its air from. That's where it pulls air through that air filter into the turbo pulls air through that air filter. And so what I'm guessing is that this machine needs an air filter. And when I turned this machine on at the previous owner's farm, that there was a lot of dust sitting in that filter, and the turbo sucked it all in and just burned it in the engine, which is horrible for the turbo. But I mean, if I had known, I would have just left the machine alone and just bought it. But I mean, I had to test run it, right? I had to make sure that it fired up, that everything was good to go. But when I turned it on at the previous owner's house, I had I'm guessing that the turbo needed some oil too, and it also had a lot of carbon in the air flow assembly. So whatever it was, it could have been the air filter, it could have been it could have just been the hose that takes that connects the air filter to the turbo. There could have been a lot of dust in it, so it just sucked that dust into the engine, and the engine lit it on fire. And that's why it was smoking so bad when I first started it, because right now the smoke is gone. And so yep, but yep, don't want to be sucking in air into dirt into a turbocharger. That is the very very bad thing to do, because the turbocharger is a small little thing, and it's got a fan in it that rotates at an incredible speed. The turbochargers, they suck air in from the outside, and I think that there are multiple ways that this is done. I think that turbochargers, that some of them like re-intake the exhaust gas and push it back into the engine to make it burn more oxygen like that. Or I ain't like a super whiz kid on motors, but I do know that turbos suck in more air. That's the whole purpose of a turbo. So it sucks in air and it makes the engine burn more oxygen. And so, but the turbo, the little fan in the turbo rotates at an incredible speed, and dirt, dust, stuff like that can really mess up the balance of a turbo fan, and it can even cause it to break in small bits and pieces. And then those small breaks and pieces, I'm pretty sure all that stuff gets injected straight into the engine. So that's horrible. That is horrible for the engine. Don't want to be sucking in anything into the engine except for good clean oil, some air, some diesel. Don't want to be sucking in plastic pieces and little metal shavings and dirt. Don't want to be sucking that stuff into an engine at all. And so I'm pretty certain that that's what had happened, because the previous owner, he had bought this tractor from a man. He fixed it, and then it just sat in his yard for a year. He didn't even touch it. And so yeah, I'm pretty sure I just sucked in a whole bunch of dust and nasty stuff into the turbo, and the turbo sucked it into the engine, and then that's what was coming out the exhaust when I had started this thing. But what can you do? I mean, what's done is done. Here's the fuel injector pump. It's kind of cool looking, but it's easy to spot. And the fuel injectors are right here. So if I just follow these fuel injection lines, they're right there. It's hard to see because it's so dark in here, but that's the fuel injector right there. That's the fuel injector right there. So if I just loosen the one bolt holding it in place, then just screw the line off of it, I can pull the fuel injector out of there. Like, oh, this one's easy to see. So if I just pull this bolt out right here, the bracket that's holding it in, and I just remove that line from it, and then remove the lines holding it in place right there, I can actually just pull that fuel injector out like easy peasy, just right there. These engines, they were built very simply. See, they're all like that. That one little bolt holding it in, then there's a line connecting to the fuel injectors right there. So but the engine actually ain't smoking anymore. And so well, I got some fuel injector cleaner from Lucas. I got some good stuff to put in this engine to just clean it out internally. High detergent stuff to just clean it out internally. But I'm not gonna go and pull this tractor apart. I'm not gonna pull the fuel injectors out of here until I legitimately believe that there is an issue with the compression, or if I believe that there is if there's an issue with the piston, or if there's an issue with a fuel injector. That's the only time I'll actually go in there and pull that stuff out, because if I pull that stuff out, there's also a risk that I mess something up. And so I would only be willing to take that risk if this is already messed up and I need to do something about it, or it's going to turn into a big problem. And so yep, the engine ain't hardly smoking at all anymore. And so yep, it does need an oil change. It hasn't had an oil change in a few years, so it needs to get an oil change. My father's gonna be here on Tuesday, and he's gonna work on this tractor with me. So I'm not gonna do it by myself. I'm gonna wait until my father gets here to work on this tractor with him, because yep, I'm just gonna work on it with my father. I think it'd be a good time. So yep, my father's gonna be here. We're gonna change out the air filter. We're going to change out the oil, and then we're gonna change out the oil filters, and then that should be it. I would fire this engine up right now just to show you guys how it runs, but yeah, it needs an oil change, and so I'll fire it up on camera here in about 2 days. I would rather leave this machine alone until I know it's good to go. Other than that, the only other problems that I could find was that this grease fitting right here, this one, it ain't taking oil, it's clogged up, so I'll need to put a new grease fitting in that. Then there's another grease fitting over here that it's like impossible to reach. There's a grease fitting in there. I'm gonna zoom in on it right there. There's a grease fitting in there that I just can't get to it. So I'm gonna change that out with a 90-degree angle grease fitting. And I gotta pump some grease into that. Then I gotta pump some grease into the front axle. Then I should be good to go. This tractor, after it gets an oil change, after it gets its oil filters changed, it should be ready to go. It should be ready to bale some hay. But this tractor, I got this tractor for $12,000. And well, I mean, there are a lot of tractors like this around here for sale. For well, so the average price, like if I was gonna be I guess looking for a tractor, if I was gonna do it all over again, making zero mistakes, to buy it's just a little bit of dirt on here, to buy like a real good tractor here in my area, it costs about well, I would say, in all honesty, it's gonna cost about anywhere from about $6,000 to $10,000. So if I was gonna buy a smaller tractor, like a 50 horsepower, it costs about $6 grand for a good one. For a good one that's old, it costs about $6,000. And for a big one like this, it's going to cost about twice as much. It's going to cost about, well, something like this in real good condition, it'll cost about 12. But there are a lot of tractors like this for 10. And I paid a little bit more for this one, just because it's in such a decent condition. It's in real decent condition. So I paid more for this one. I paid about 20% over what market average is, and I believe that this machine is worth that amount. So, yep, I paid $12,000 for this. I took a look at a handful of machines a lot like this one, but this one was in the best condition out of all of them. So this is the one that I bought. It doesn't have a front loader on it, which is fine. It's okay. I mean, if it had a front loader on it, that'd be great. But yeah, tractors like this in my area, they sell for about 10,000. One in real good condition like this, I paid 12 grand for it. If they're a yeah, I mean, if they're a little smaller, they may go for I know that there are a lot of tractors right now, like a lot of good ones for about 8 grand, and they're about 90 horsepower. So this one's 150. This is a big one. But yeah, I could go get a real good tractor, 90 horsepower with a front loader on it, an older one in real good condition for about 9 grand. So yeah, but this is gonna be the one that I bale hay with. That's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.